Hello there and welcome to Shuttlebay for episode 11, which contains part 1 of our discussion on the Enterprise episode Carbon Creek, plus we rank the Star Trek films, and you do not want to miss Jed's classic convention anecdote this week.
Hello, computer chairs.
Hello everybody. Hello Marie. Oh, it's nice to have you on board, Marie. I know you've mentioned a few times in the chat that you've not been able to make it, so I'm glad that you are able to make it.
I've only just made it. Only just.
Only just. And we're a bit thin on the ground. I say thin on the ground. We're not really, because we've got Dee and Jed, who are two. We get 2 for 1. We've got Marie joining for the first time, which is great. Obviously, we've got Steve, who's part of the furniture, along with Brush. And I'm going to say Rachel, but I'll just refer to her as Law's partner in crime because that's what it says on screen. But yeah, I was just saying that Patches isn't with us today. He lost his dog today. So obviously he's going to be feeling upset. So Patches, if you're watching this, and I think Patches does watch the recordings, I hope you, well, I know you're not, there's no point saying I hope you're feeling all right, because I know you won't be. It's awful when you lose a pet. So Patches, hopefully you'll be able to join us next week. And, you know, just, you just got to... Yeah, you just got to cry it out, haven't you? That's the only thing you can do, really. I know there's no real advice you can give anybody when they're feeling that way. It's just you are going to feel terrible, but...
You know what? I saw the picture that he put up, and it's like, I saw that dog, and it looks like it's wearing a jumper, and I thought, do you know what? I wonder if it's got like its own little Patches jacket, you know, the legendary one that we talked about. Because it just looked like the dog that Patches would own. Do you know what I mean?
It does actually, yeah, it does, yeah. Well, I messaged him about 20 minutes ago just saying that I'm sure he had a lovely life, I'm sure he was loved, and I'm sure he's a good mate, and I'm sure he's, you know, I bet he was a happy dog, and that's what counts. Should we kick off then? Should we do our series ranking? Because I'm quite not series.
It's
film ranking. Film rankings. Okay. So I thought what we'd do is if we do our film rankings, and I mean to be honest, if anybody wants to talk about Carbon Creek, they may as well do so. And then what we'll do is next week, those who haven't done it can do it then.
Marie has specifically watched that episode for this meeting, so Marie has to get to say her bit.
That's fine. Absolutely,
yeah. I enjoyed the episode. I didn't like T'Pol because I don't like her. But yeah,
it wasn't T'Pol, it was Tamir.
Join the club.
No, and T'Pol was in it first, wasn't she? Talking. Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was good. It was a good episode. That's it. Sorry.
I really, really like this episode. That's I picked it. I didn't do a Steve. Pick an episode I thought was shit.
Hey, that was a funny episode and we all enjoyed it. Shut up.
Right, before we do the film ranking then, does anybody else want to talk about Carbon Creek?
It's a really good episode and I think it's really good.
Did anybody else watch it?
Yeah. Made some notes.
Come on, Dee.
Come on, let's do Carbon Creek it.
Okay, Carbon Creek. I've put T'Pol's the great grandmother who first visited Earth before Zefram Cochrane did. So that was the plot premise. That's what I've written down. And I thought the Sputnik appearance was cute. I was like, I know that one. I've seen that before. And then I realised it's Sputnik. I didn't know Diane Warren wrote the theme tune, though. She's an Oscar winner. Amazing. She's like the nuts of music. So with everybody taking the piss out of it, Diane Warren's going to get you. First thought was, this is just going to be a bleeding racial abuse episode through and through. And then when they did the disguises, I was like, oh, this is how we're going. So it turned into a cute story then, a nice story, a friendly story, about relationships and stuff. I wondered, it'd be better if there was a bigger group, really. But I wondered how many people got the Larry Curly Moe reference and the Isle of Lucy references, because I don't think there's many going to be old enough for that.
Yeah. I got the Isle of Lucy reference, but I don't know what the other one you're talking about is.
I got I Love Lucy. I know the Moe one, from the Three Stooges. I actually haven't watched it.
Oh, yeah, well, I got that. It kind of,
I've seen it before.
I got that, yeah. I'm not familiar with the Three Stooges, but I know what they look like. So when he did the joke about his hair, I got that, yeah.
That's something I was like, well, not many people are going to get that. They won't be old.
Also, they mentioned the Twilight Zone, and that was interesting because the same week this aired, the new version of Twilight Zone aired, and it was produced by Ira Stephen Bear.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my.
Oh my! Oh, that's just a little fact I knew when I threw in there just for free. That was.
And that thing. What, we've got something that'll change the world. Go on then. What is it? Velcro. What is Velcro?
Also, so there's a couple of throwbacks because that's like a throwback to Scotty coming up with transparent aluminum.
How long you have not been in America that long? Aluminium, please.
Well, they actually said this to me yesterday. When you pick up their aluminum foil, though, it says aluminum. So they said to me, "What's this called, brush?" And I was like, "Oh, shut up."
Tin foil.
But yeah, in a nutshell, that was my take on the episode, pretty much.
Yeah.
Have you seen it before, Dee?
It's a true story. I just knew it was. So even when she went and opened that, I knew it was a true story.
True story. What are you talking about?
I think within the context of the universe, she wasn't having him on.
Yeah.
It's just another example of Enterprise messing with the law of Trek. Sorry, that's my opinion.
I don't think it messed with the law of Trek. I think it just kind of supplemented it quite nicely.
Oh yeah, supplemented it. Yeah, okay.
I'm going to go next. I'm going to go next to Carbon Creek. So I've got my notes. Right. So all my notes are in chronological order because I just make them as I'm going through.
They're always in chronological order, Dan.
I know, yeah. So the first note I've got is friendly. I like the fact that it starts with Paul and Archer and Trip sat around a table, and I actually did read something just before I came on this. I was just like Googling the episode to see if I could find anything interesting. And one thing that I did read that is true is the fact that up until this point, you hadn't really had much of the officers just sat down, socialising, and just being friends. So this was kind of the first episode that did that. Well, I would have missed that if I'd not read it because I'm just watching this one episode. I'm not watching it in order from the beginning. And I do like the fact that Archer says he's got to write a report on T'Pol, and T'Pol says, well, I've got to write a report on you. And it was a few episodes. If this was done in the first series, that would have been like a bit of a barbed comment. Whereas in this, it wasn't. They were kind of having a joke with each other.
Were they celebrating 1 year of T'Pol on the ship then?
1 year of T'Pol being on the ship, yes. It's a 1 year anniversary on the ship. And when T'Pol says, I've got a story for you about, first contact with the Vulcans, she knows what their reaction is going to be. And you can see that she's saying it with glee, the fact that, she's basically rewriting history. And she says to him, well, do you want to hear the story or not? And I just thought it was a good bit of banter between three people who felt like they'd really outgrown that awkwardness that they had in the first series. So I just really enjoyed just seeing them at the table together. There's one line that Archer says to Trip when she says about her great grandmother, and Trip's like, oh, are you missing a few generations there? And he goes, don't forget how long Vulcans live. And it felt like that was a bit of exposition. So if you were brand new to Star Trek, this is kind of a good entry point, I think, because it establishes that Vulcans live for a long time, and it establishes a lot of just kind of Vulcan lore without going into depth, just like the general basics of them. T'Pol says, actually, it's not T'Pol, I forgot the name of the character now. T'Pol's great grandmother. Yeah, Tamir. She says fascinating, which was obviously a good throwback to Star Trek. You've already mentioned like the throwbacks to other things, like when they mention I Love Lucy and they mention the Three Stooges and things like that. And I just love these little throwbacks. Even when they steal the clothes off the clothesline, I'm thinking of the episode
City on the Edge of Forever.
Sitting on the edge, yeah, because Kirk and Spock do that.
He wears the same kind of cap as well as Spock does, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, to hide his ears. The next comment I've got is boobage, and I'm sure you know what I'm referring to when I say boobage. We've talked a lot about the like hypersexualization of some characters, and T'Pol is probably the most hypersexualized. Think about the sonic shower with all the anti-contaminant gel, and there's that bit where she's getting dressed behind like a sheet on a washing line, and you can see her silhouette, and basically all you see is to put it bluntly, it's tits, isn't it? It's just a blatant tit shot, and you even see the nipples on there. Now, I don't think for 1 minute that was the genuine silhouette. I think that was added in post, which just goes to show that they really were like trying to desexualize that character. And I'm watching it now, and I'm kind of like rolling my eyes, thinking it's really obvious. But the truth is, when this episode came out, I probably would have loved that scene. But I'd like it's the sort of thing that we wouldn't be doing now. But it was a bit too obvious. They walk into a bar. and somebody's playing pool or billiards, whatever, for money. And the other Vulcan says to, I forgot her name already, to Paul's grandmother. Go on, Brush, what's her name? Tamir. So basically, he says, "I'll go and play him," and he says, "I know the rules," but he can't know the rules, and he can't know how to play. He's not even. I could understand it, right, if he'd observed them play it, and he was like, "I know how to play this. I'm going to beat him," because he didn't. He literally walked up to it, and it's the first time he's seen it, and it was a bit of a gambit, to be honest. When
doesn't he say? He also says something like, "This is simple. It's just geometry." Doesn't he say something like that? Yeah. Which Tuvok says in the Voyager episode as well.
Oh, there you go, another throwback. Oh yeah. So basically, when he plays pool or snooker, whatever it is, it's because he's going to get, I think, $20 if he wins, or if he loses, Tamir has to have a drink with that fella. And it felt like a bit of an indecent proposal because Tamir, didn't want to do that, and it almost felt a bit. I don't know. I just felt it didn't feel right. The fact that they were basically pimping her out, for this bet. Frozen food, they refer to it as cryogenics. I thought that was quite funny. I like that. The character, there's three Vulcans. There's Tamir and the two other fellas, and I can't remember the name, but one of them starts to really embrace humanity. He starts to enjoy the culture. He's watching the TV, and there's one bit where he's at the bar, and I think they can see like nuclear test on the news or something. And he says he'd hate to see humanity destroy itself. And at that point, it felt really heartfelt. It felt like that was the turning point for him, that it wasn't just saying it, it really doesn't want to see humanity destroy itself. Then we get that comment about the Three Stooges that Dee mentioned. And there's that bit where he sneaks out because he wants to get a new aerial or something. And he goes, "No, I need to go now because the Isle of Lucy's on tonight." Dee's already mentioned that, but I thought it was a genuinely funny quote. Even if you don't know what the reference to Isle of Lucy is all about, it's still a funny line. And this episode was full of funny lines. There's that bit where that same Vulcan, he gets kissed by that woman, and he says, "Oh, that was very pleasant." And she goes, "What? Pleasant? Is that all you're going to say?" And he says, "Well, I did say very pleasant." It's just a genuinely funny line.
Wasn't that an appropriate response?
To Paul's grandmother, I think she's a really good, strong character. Apart from the fact that she gets hypersexualized at the beginning with it.
Her name is
Tamir. Because there's that bit where she says to that same Vulcan I was on about, she says, you're going to have no further contact with that woman. She really stamps her foot. And it was good to see a nice, strong... It was nice to see Jolene Blalock being able to play a strong character. I really appreciated that. But that's really the only notes I've got. I thought it was a really good episode. I think Emma's always, not always, but she's frequently criticised the fact that when we get these going back in time episodes, they always seem to go to America, and it does it here. But technically, it's not a going back in time episode. No, it is set at that time. But it does feel like it worked here. I mean, maybe it would have been more interesting if it had gone somewhere else in the world. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. I think if you've never seen Star Trek before, or if you've never seen Enterprise before, I think this is a really good entry point because you get to see some of the characters without getting too much, and you also get a bit of an insight into Vulcans and the character of T'Pol. But yeah, so that's all I've got to say on that. Anybody else got anything to say on Carbon Creek? Did you watch it, Steve?
I did, yes.
Go on then.
I did last week. I made a point of watching it last week so I could distance myself from it. Shocker, didn't really care for it. Because it's Enterprise. I tried to go into it with an open mind, but again, like you said, it's not a time travel one, but fucking hell, there's an entire universe. There are planets scattered all over the bloody place with people on it. But I know, let's go back to America. Why not? And it's of the two episodes we've watched, they've both been ones based on shit that's gone on before. If I wanted to know about that, I would have watched a bloody documentary. They didn't really, for me, behave like typical Vulcan. So you've got one of them lying about going back for an aerial when he's actually going to the cinema with a woman. You've got one of them that's getting cross with the other one for not following orders and getting too involved in everybody else's business with the humans. And, it just, they didn't come across as very Vulcan-y. What happened to the ship? Did they not pick up the ship when they picked up the people? I mean, the ship was there. They were obviously on the planet for months. did nobody come across that ship in the woods the whole time it was there? You know, all the people that go hiking and camping and stuff like that, and nobody come across this bloody great ship.
All right, Steve. Okay, you didn't like it. We get it.
I have to agree with Steve.
Steve, the Trekkie who hates Star Trek.
You know what? It just seemed a bit incredulous, even for a Trek, episode. It was just characters didn't behave the way they should.
To be fair, they were trying to blend in with human race, so that's why they weren't acting.
And you're telling me, in all those months, nobody thought, why on earth are these people always in a bloody hat? What are they hiding?
I've got a friend who's always wearing a hat. He's a fucking.
I agree with Steve. Some of it was quite annoying, and I felt at the end where Tamir lied about a colleague who stayed on Earth and made out he was dead. I.e., so where is he now?
Yeah.
Is he in any other timelines anywhere?
I reckon he might show up in Lower Decks at some point. I might be a reference to him in Lower Decks. I'm hoping. I say that every week, about every episode.
Oh, but do you know what we haven't said for ages?
What?
I bet he comes up with all them lines himself. They're always the best lines.
Well, we need to do a Voyager episode, don't we, for that, really?
Who's the Bob Picardo of Enterprise? There's got to be one in there that comes up with all the best lines. And
well, it's with Dr. Phlox, yeah.
Phlox
John
is my
Billingsley.
favourite character, definitely.
Sure as hell ain't to Paul, is it?
Do you know what? Phlox, I wasn't a huge fan of the character until I met John Billingsley, and he was such an amazing man, such a lovely, warm, just fun guy that I've just reassessed Phlox since then.
I'm like that with Neelix. I was like, Neelix wasn't my favourite character, but Ethan Phillips was just so nice.
Oh, do you know what? I thought you were going to say that about Brent then. I thought you were going to say, do you know what? I absolutely loved Law and Data, but since I've met Brent Spiner, I love them even more.
Excuse me. What? Okay. So let me explain this to you. So first of all, I am quite new to Star Trek. Second of all, I am very new to conventions. I have only met two Star Trek actors, and one of them was like so super nice, and it was just the most amazing experience ever. So that's why I talked about it a lot. Okay, let me be.
I believe I just got schooled.
I want to know what Penfold thinks of this episode. I'm hoping Penfold.
Oh, he loved it. Of course he does. It's an Enterprise episode.
But to be fair as well, no, it's always voted one of the best Enterprise episodes. But you know, whether you're a fan or not, and all the magazines who do the rankings, they always vote this as one of the best.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm not sure if it's because I was feeling ill and a bit weak and a bit vulnerable, and I just couldn't fight it. But when I was laid on this settee, I'm pointing because it was just over there, and I put it on the TV. When the theme tune started, I actually enjoyed it. I was too weak to fight it. I was like, it's been a long road.
I skipped the intro.
It's fine.
I never skipped the intro. Did everybody skip it? I was going to ask that, actually.
Yeah.
You're damn right. I skip that every time. I actually panic and try and find the remote before any of that word comes out, and it kills me if I miss it. Yeah, I am, and I go la 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 la.
We're going to move on to our film rankings then, because I'm intrigued to see what people have got.
I'm going to start from the worst. So my worst out of all of them is Nemesis. Hate that film so much. Just because, it doesn't do anything with the characters, and the way it treats Data is terrible, and the way they bring B4 into it, and the last kind of scenes is like, oh, maybe there is a chance that B4, and it's like, no, you've just ruined Star Trek for me by killing Data off.
Did you know that Brent Spiner helped write that story? Because
I know he actually wanted to write himself out a film before that, I think, because he realized he was getting older facially and didn't want that character to be kept going. I understand. So he was actually from Generations onwards, he was kind of like, I don't mind if Data dies. But I didn't like it because it wasn't amazing. And then to bring B4 into it, it was like it would have been better if Data just died, and you give him that credit
Oh,
that he
and
deserves
B4 is
rather.
adorable. I like
Oh,
B4.
Rachel, just because Brent Spiner plays him,
No,
B4.
it's got nothing to do with
Yes, it is.
I mean, the character.
B4 is
The character
dreadful. Finding his little bits all dotted around the planet. I'll just leave him there to. All right. Anyway, sorry. Sorry.
It's a
So,
very
number
Romulan
10.
way of thinking.
Number 10, Nemesis. Oh, Romulans are my favourite. Anyway, next is The Final Frontier. These are pretty obvious. The Final Frontier, Shatner's amazingly directed film about God. Yeah, well done, mate. That was awful. They only let him direct as well because he had a kind of an agreement that if Leonard Nimoy got to direct a film, he also got to direct a film. There was a contract they signed that if one of them was given a certain privilege, the other one also received that same privilege. And I think that was signed back in when they were doing TOS. Okay, now Dan, you won't like this one. Yeah. Yep. The motion pictures next. Yeah, whatever. It's so slow. And this isn't that I'm hating on it. This is a list now of, least favourites. So the visuals stand up. I don't like any of the uniforms in this film, and I don't like how long it takes just to get a film. It could have been a 45-minute episode, if I'm honest. Number 7 is Generations. Generations for me. I like when it first came out, I was super looking forward to it. First Next Generation film. I felt though it was like two separate films. The beginning is like you got the TOS crew, and then Kirk dies, and then it goes to the Next Generation. And I just thought it was quite confused and muddled all the way through. I didn't like the Nexus scenes at all. I thought they were ridiculous. Like when Picard and Kirk are in the Nexus, and when Picard's in the Nexus with his perfect little family, I hated the fact they brought Christmas into Star Trek, because isn't that the first time they've brought Christmas into Star Trek?
It's a Christmas film right now.
Directly.
It's a Christmas film. It's up there.
Awful. And his perfect little family. Oh my God, how awful a family was that? Oh yes, Papa. Yes, Papa. And like the wife was a total under the thumb wife, dressed in a corset, going, "Yes, the dinner's ready for you, dear. You can all come to the table now." Ah, Gavi, that was awful. Next is Insurrection. So it's probably higher up the list than a few of you might have it. I didn't hate it as a lot of people did, but it is quite a dull film. It just plods along. And next for me was The Voyage Home. So it is a super fun film. The more I watch, I think I liked it a lot more when I was younger. So there's films that I've got above this that when I was younger I would have put below The Voyage Home. But as I've got older and rewatched it, it is super fun. It's tongue in cheek all the way. It's one of Steve's favourite time travel episodes when they come back to America. So I know Steve loves this film.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Search for Spock. This is the one that, when I was younger, would have been below. Like, I didn't like this film as much when I was younger, but the more I watch it, the more I really, really like it. I like the fact that the crew they take the ship without permission. They go in to save their friend without permission, because actually they're not allowed to go to the Genesis planet. But Kirk decides and gives everybody the option, do you want to help us out? Yeah, we all want to help you out. And there's a few super cool scenes. There's like when Sulu has to tackle that massive giant man and calls him, "Don't call me tiny." Things like that. The top 3 I found quite difficult. I had to really, really think about it and consider which is going to be third. So third for me is The Undiscovered Country, which is always been one of my favorite Star Trek films. I like how dark it is to all the other films. I think Leonard Nimoy is amazing in this film. I really like the court scenes where you've got Worf or Worf's. I don't know what it is. It's not related to Worf, I don't think, but it's obviously Michael Dorn. The only bit about the film that as I've watched it and grown up more and more, the one bit that is really struggled to watch is when Spock physically rapes Valeris, because he does. He mind meld rapes her. And the more you watch it, you can see she acts that quite well, because you can see the pain on her face, and so that's quite a difficult scene to watch, but still one of my faves. Top 2. So I've gone Wrath of Khan second. Is the best TOS film by far. Is a proper, action adventure film. I think Nicholas Meyer is an amazing director. So he did this and The Undiscovered Country. And so anything he touched was always great for Star Trek. And yeah, I know this top for many people, but when I was thinking about it, and like when I was just trying to consider, when you sat and watched it, what film did you enjoy the most? And I can't get past First Contact for my number one. First Contact, best Star Trek film for Brush ever. And again, it was similar to Wrath of Khan. It was this big, great adventure film. But just, it had the Borg, and it really brought the Borg on, I feel, compared to the episodes in Next Generation. This really heightened the Borg even more. The Borg Queen, Alice Krieg, being the Borg Queen, was the ultimate. I thought she played her so well. She was so seductive and evil. Picard losing his cool, one of the best scenes ever in any Star Trek. It is. When he does that, but also when he's then shouting about the line is joined here.
Yeah.
And all that. So yeah, First Contact is my favorite. And that's my list of 10. Why, thank you.
I'm hoping Dee and Jed are on this because I'd love to see him argue over it.
What's the boring bit? We've got the same bottom. We haven't got the same tops. We've got the same bottom. We've done 13, by the way. We've done
Kelvin. Okay.
That horrible.
Well done. Well done, guys.
Oh, shut up, Steve.
Don't be a hater, Brush.
The 13 for us is Star Trek 5, Final Frontier.
It's dire.
It's boring.
It is the worst. It's the only Star Trek film I fell asleep to. The only good thing about that was the bird of prey in my eyes. That was the only good thing. Everything else, even the Klingons were crap.
Even the Enterprise set, it was all awful. It was terrible.
I can tell if I like it or not if I remember it, and I have got no memory of this one. I know I've seen it, and I've snippets, but when he goes, "Oh, do you remember this bit?" No. And if I don't remember it, I know it's rubbish because my brain's not retained the information.
I put Insurrection for number 12 because I've watched it 6 times and I still can't remember it. You put Motion Picture, didn't you?
Because I couldn't remember it. You were telling me bits about it, and I'm going, "Where's Tony from which mountain in Star Trek?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't remember that scene." It's going the bit where he's gripping him and he's going.
No, that's the one I put.
What's that?
Well, that's in.
What's that one?
Oh, it's in the Wrath of Khan. That one.
Oh, make your mind up.
We need more couples.
They don't exist.
Number 11, I put Search for Spock. To follow after Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock was bad. I didn't even.
But you needed to tie him back in. You needed to bring him back in. You needed a way to get him. It couldn't just be and he's back again. Woo! You had to make it big.
Yeah,
make a big point of it.
It felt like a mini episode to me. It was that bad.
Whatever. Well, I put Insurrection as number 11.
I can't wait for Dan to try and keep up with this list.
I can't remember. I know it was what's his face? My mate's in it. Is in it David Warner with the stretchy skin people and the pretty people, and that's all I remember of it.
What? I think they're two different ones.
Yeah. What are they?
David Warner's in Undiscovered Country.
No, I thought he was the one behind the stretchy face man.
No, that's not. No, he's not in
Who's
that
then?
He is an Oscar-winning actor, I think.
I can't remember his name. It's in
or something. I thought that was.
No, I can't remember his name now. It's in
thingy. Is in Homeland, isn't he? He's about 80 years old.
He's in Amadeus, I think, as well. He's in loads of stuff.
Somebody got to find out his name.
I'll do it now.
I can't use my phone.
He plays Salieri. Now you said it.
F. Murray Abrams, the actor.
F. Murray Abrams, that's right. God,
that's
I nailed it.
Yes.
Thank you, Marie.
Number 10, I put Beyond, Star Trek Beyond.
Okay.
I'll just go through mine and you go for yours quick.
Yeah, let's do that, shall we? Yeah. Cheers, Jed.
Then after that, I put Voyager as number 9. And then after that, Motion Picture, number 8. Number 7, I put Generations. I didn't. I
You
look.
slagged that one.
I
off.
look forward to this, and I was so disappointed to Generations.
Yeah, me too.
I put Into Dark above Generations. I was that disappointed in it. Then number 5, I put Star Trek: The Kelvin Timeline.
The first one.
Yeah.
Oh, the 2009 one, yeah.
Yeah. And number 4, I put Undiscovered Country. I love that film. Number 3, sorry, Brushy, I put Nemesis.
You're a dick, though, and you. Sorry.
Look, when you sat there and you hear people gasp when Data dies, that means it's a good film in my eyes. After that, I put First Contact. I was confused with the top 2. I had to go off how I felt when I first watched them, and I remember going to the pictures to see Rafa Khan, and I remember how that. And I put Rafa Khan as number 1.
Yes, you clever boy.
Where was we up to with me?
You're on to
Number 10.
Number 10.
Star Trek, the first one.
No, Abrams.
Yeah.
2009 or motion picture?
2009, yeah. Because I've already had motion picture. That's number...
oh, yeah, you did, yeah. Number 12 for you.
Number 9, Search for Spock. 8 is Nemesis. Because they killed Data on the car. Sorry, Into Darkness is number 7 because it was never going to go above anything that's left. It was never going to, so it just slots in there nicely. It's neither here nor there for me. Number 7, Into Darkness. All right, it's got Benedict Bundersnatch in it, but it's got RoboCop in it as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yay, RoboCop, no way. Number 6, Jed mad as hell at me for this, but nothing. It can't go above any of the others I've got left, and it's Undiscovered Country. So no. Number 6 is Undiscovered Country because the others are either better than that or have
or worse.
Sentimental value. No, sentimental value. The next one, number 5, is For Voyage Home. That's got a sentimental value for me because that bit where he goes, "What are you waiting for, love?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm waiting for dialysis." And goes and gives her this pill, and I'm like, "Please invent that pill! Please invent that pill! Please invent that pill! I need that pill!"
It isn't like it's goddamn Dark Ages. Yeah.
Yeah, I need that pill. It just makes me cry every time I see that bit because it makes me think, "Where's mine?" 4 Generations, because it was Kirk and Picard together, and I'm one of them, me. I love it all. So when it came out, I was like, yippee!
The ones you can remember, anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I can remember this one. It's got them both in it, and Malcolm McDowell, who's a ledge, he's in it. 3, Rafa Khan.
Oh.
Yeah, because number 2, and it's only because I love the
Jed's laughing at this.
Yeah.
Jed laughing.
I love the Beastie Boys. I love the track, and I love the bit when it happens.
Oh, you can be quiet now.
It's Star Trek Beyond. It says, and Idris Elba's in it as well. I didn't know Idris Elba was in it. It was like watching Blade 2 all over again when we came out the pictures. And I went, "So where was Luke Goss then?" And he went, "In it." All the way through. Like, I'm waiting for Luke Goss. He went, "He was the vampire." Who was it? It was like that with Star Trek Beyond. It took me ages to click it was Idris Elba till the end. Ages. But my first one, the same.
He's like Muttley with it.
He's like Motley.
First one, first place. It's got to be First Contact.
Oh, where we agreed on one.
Yes, First Contact for me, definitely. It's just a massively brilliant film. I can watch that on repeat all the time. The others, I get bored of watching on repeat, but this one,
yeah,
I never get bored of watching that. Never. It's too good. So yeah, that's mine. Did anybody put Unbelievable in the chart? Because I wasn't sure whether to put Unbelievable, the movie, in it.
No, it's not a Star Trek film.
Even though it's got every single person who's ever been in Star Trek in it.
Is that
Well,
a
no,
really
because I
shit
didn't
film?
say
Yeah,
Murder
it's
She
the
Wrote,
worst.
did I?
That's the one that they were making. They were trying to get the crowdfunding, and then Snoop Dogg put the money
Snoop
up.
Dogg. Oh my, it's so bad.
But we
It's really bad.
put me in it with me.
What is she talking about?
General
What are you
Snoop.
talking
Right.
about?
There's a film called Unbelievable.
We've-
I think Snoop Dogg, I think, produced it. It's a bit, and it starts with it's got Connor. It's got basically everyone who's been in Star Trek pretty much. They've even got like a puppet thing to replace Shatner, and it is. I first started watching it and I'm enjoying it, thinking this is actually quite a funny, piss take or whatever celebration or something. But the more you watch it, you're like, I feel like I've watched a joke that should have gone on for 5 minutes and it's been going on for an hour now, and I'm bored of it. It's honestly, it's called Unbelievable, and it's just some stoner film. And if I'm going to be honest,
I'm gonna love it.
yeah, you'll love it, but it wasn't for me.
It's sober.
I didn't. I loved it. My General Space Pony, he's ace.
You watch it, Brush. Watch it, and let us know what you think next
It's
week.
Snoop Dogg and the General Space Pony.
It's gonna be awful. It sounds awful.
It's as mental as what Dee's talking about now, and it sounds like she's off her tits, right? But she's not. It is genuinely as bonkers as Dee's refer.
How do you know she's not off my tits? You don't know what she takes.
I was going to say that's a bold statement.
That's yours then. That's your top 13. Who wants to go
Guys,
next?
I'm
Oh, you're
gonna
going
have-
to, not
I
you?
think- Yeah, because I'm gonna try and get an early night because I'm not feeling.
Oh, okay. Okay, not a problem, Rachel.
I don't have a list because I don't remember the films.
That's all right. It's all right.
I watched Nemesis,
Yeah.
I think 2 months ago or something, so I remember that. And I watched Generations as well recently. But
Yeah.
the rest I've not watched in like 15 years, so I don't remember them at all. So I'll need to
That's
watch
fair.
them all.
That's fine.
to be
Yeah.
able to
No
make a
worries.
list.
No problem. Yeah, and it's a
Okay,
bit much
Rachel.
to
Well,
do.
Rachel, you've got till next week to watch all 13 films, and we'll get you listening.
Bye, guys.
See you later, Rachel. Take care.
Bye, Rach.
I don't mind going next.
Go on then, Marie.
I'm just going to talk about scenes in films that I really like, which I rank. I like Star Trek Into Darkness, where Spock chases Khan. That to me, that scene where he runs is very powerful, and I like it. And
Marie, you're bringing in the Kelvin timeline. I'm loving this tonight.
Thank you very much. I'll take a bow in a moment.
Please do. Please do.
Also, I like I've forgotten the name of the film, but the one with the Klingons in with Chancellor. I forgot his name.
Chang. Yeah.
Chang,
Yeah. Undiscovered Country.
Yeah,
He's not Chancellor.
But I like the scene where the blood molecules are all floating around
Yeah.
in the boots. I like that scene in the films. I think it's also the same sort of techno as when they use the rain in Nemesis, isn't it? Where she holds the time in her hands. Stuff like that. Do you remember that one?
Insurrection, that is.
Insurrection, sorry.
She slows the time down.
Yeah. And but yeah, I like the bit with two Spocks as well, because of the crossing timelines in the Kelvin timeline. But I did like the first film, even though Bush doesn't like it. I really liked Stephen Collins until I found out he was a pedo. So that was it really. I just thought, but I do find the first one, the motion picture very powerful, especially with the music and the extended version. I like that one as well. But yeah,
extended version. Oh my god.
I even saw it at the cinema. I think was it last year or the year before. But yeah, I do like First Contact as well. That's a really good film. But yeah, I like anything with Klingons in. That's it. The end. Thanks.
Nice, Marie. I thought that was well explained, Marie.
Yeah.
I think you did yourself down there. I thought that was really well done.
Rather than everyone going through the list of films, it's interesting that you've picked actual scenes from films that you liked.
Exactly. Yeah. But things that mean a lot to you. I think that's good. It's good to cover that.
But this is what we've talked about before in previous weeks, isn't it? It's everybody's individual take on what we've decided on each week.
Yeah.
It does make it really interesting because you've got lists like Brushes where he's not included the Kelvin timeline, and then you've got virtually everybody else that has. You know, it's really good.
Do you want to go next, Steve?
I haven't done my list yet. I'm going to do mine next week.
You're going to do it next week? Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't have time this week, so.
Oh, for God's sake, so you've been honest to God, you piece of shit.
Do you know what, mate? I really thought you were flirting with me because you liked me. Now I'm a little bit upset.
This is how I flirt, by the way. This is how I flirt. I'm just very, very nasty. I flirt like, like a 8-year-old and 9-year-old does.
Yeah, like,
Excuse me. How many 8 and 9-year-olds actually flirt, though? That's that seems a bit. I'm not.
I was going to crack some sort of joke then, but it would have been really inappropriate, so I'm not going to do it.
No such thing as inappropriate. Dear. Oh, I don't know.
Do you want to see some puppies? Right. I'll do my list then now. Now, I've been a bit greedy because I've done 2 lists, but don't worry, this isn't going to take ages because one I'm just going to rattle through. I'm not going to spend ages on it. So I really struggled with this and how to do it because I've got like the list of what I think are the best Star Trek films, and then I've got a list of the Star Trek films that I like the most. And they're not necessarily the same list. When I listed all the Star Trek films, I actually like them. Well, there's not one Star Trek film I don't like. The one that's at the bottom of my list, I don't hate it. I just don't like it as much as the others. But I do still really enjoy it. I mean, Final Frontier, for example, is one that a lot of people.
Every week, your explanation of your list takes up so much more time than your list itself.
I'm just going to do the list then. I'm going to do the list. Okay, so. This isn't the list I'm going to put forward for my top 3 when I get everybody's top 3. This is just the list. This is what I think are the best Star Trek films. Not my favorite. I'm going to do my favorite in a sec. So I'm just going to do it in order from best to least best. Okay. I'm not going to say worst.
And then
least best.
And then you can do it in chronological order. And then you can do another one in which colours he likes the most in each film. Right.
Right. Listen, I'm doing it now. So. In terms of what I think are the best films, I'm going to start from best to least best. So, motion picture, Brush, motion picture. Then I've got Wrath of Khan. Then I've got Undiscovered Country, First Contact, Voyage Home, Search for Spock, Insurrection, Generations, Final Frontier, and then Nemesis. Now, I'm going to tell you my favourite Star Trek film. So, most favourite to least favourite. So, my favourite film in the Star Trek films is the motion picture. I really love that film, and I'm with Marie on this. I know Brush is taking the piss with the extended cut, but I could watch that 4 or 5 hours long. Honestly, I'd love the motion picture. It often gets referred to as the slow motion picture or the motionless picture, and it gets slammed a lot. But I think, even if you don't like it as a Star Trek film, I think it's an excellent science fiction film. I really do. I think it's really up there as a piece of hard sci-fi. I love it. And the whole concept of Vija, I just think is amazing. There's that scene where they're slowly going towards the Enterprise, and you see Kirk's face. Slowly. Exactly. Well, you don't like. Honestly, absolutely. That's probably my favorite scene in all of the Star Trek films, bar none. That scene right there. So motion picture. Number 2 is Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan. It's probably going to be in everybody's top 3. I really tried to find a way to not have it in my top 3 because I thought it's a bit cliched, but it's there for a reason. It is such a brilliant, brilliant film. After that, now I don't think this is a particularly great Star Trek film. It's quite low down on my list of good Star Trek films, but I can't help but really enjoy it. So number 3, I'm ashamed to say, is Generations. Now, when this came out, I was 14. I saw it at the cinema with my mate Scott. We were both massive Trekkies. And honestly, it was like one of the most amazing cinematic experiences I've ever had because I got to see them on the big screen. And it just looked amazing. It was, we're talking Hollywood quality uniforms and picture. Beverly Crusher, who I had a huge crush on at the time, looks absolutely stunning in Generations. Honestly, she does. And I just absolutely loved it. When you see, I knew the Enterprise crashed because I'd watched all the like things on TV about the film and the making of and everything. So I'd seen it crash, and I was watching it on the big screen, and it absolutely blew me away. I remember me and my mate Scott when they like commenced saucer separation, we were like, it's saucer separation, like a couple of geeks. I actually remember, this is embarrassing, right? Watching the Oscars, and like I genuinely thought it'd just sweep everything. When it was like. And Best film. And I'm like, because to go through the nominations, and I'm like, they didn't even mention Generation. I mean, it's only. I mean, now I completely understand it, right? I mean, it's so full of plot holes. It's such a weak film in so many areas, but I just really enjoy watching it. And I can't remember. I think it was Dee that said it. You see Kirk and you see Picard on the screen at the same time, and that just meant so much. And it does feel. Somebody said it felt like two films, and it does. You got that first bit where there you go. Where is it on Excelsior to start with? I can't remember now.
It was the CSL.
Yeah, the Excelsior. Yeah, and honestly, I just love all that scene.
Except
it's an Excelsior class ship, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. The Enterprise B, though, isn't it?
Oh, is it the B? I didn't think it was the B. Oh, is it the B?
Shin.
Jen knows all there is to know about the ships. He loves the ships. He's good.
Is it the B?
Yeah, it was the B. It's
yes.
Class had a big chin.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
No, we hate that ship, Dan.
No, we don't hate it. We just don't like it as an Enterprise. We like the
But that's what it was in that.
I know it was. I know. Yeah, I guess. All right. Yeah. So then I've got Generations there because I mean I know Kirk dies a really shit way, but you mentioned what's his face in it. His name's gone in my head now. Soren is played by Malcolm McDowell. Is such a brilliant actor. I love. There's some really good lines in it as well, and Picard's like idyllic life is a bit naff, but as a 14-year-old watching it, I probably didn't question that. I mean. It is so full of plot holes. I watch it now. I'm like, how did they get out of the Nexus? How did they get out of that? They're just like, boo. And if on it makes no sense. But Generations, the next one on my list, I really agonized over this because my list originally was going to be Motion Picture, Wrath of Khan, and Voyage Home. But very recently, I was with Brush at the time. I watched Voyage Home, and I watched it with my kids, and it kind of burst the bubble in a way because they were like,
I think that's why I did it.
They kind of picked it to pieces, and it was a bit like The Emperor's New Clothes, you know, when they like pointed out stuff that's like really obvious. But The Voyage Home is probably the film I've seen the most of all the Star Trek films. I think I watched it a load as a kid, and it really gives me that nostalgic feeling. I think it's probably the easiest watch of a film, of a Star Trek film, and I do love it. But it's not there. I've got Search for Spock at number 4 because I think it's a really solid film. It's quite a slow film, but I've got nothing really more to say other than what Brush said. I love the fact that these guys steal the ship, and like you said, you know, Kirk gives them the option, and it's like these. One thing I do like about the original series Star Trek films is one thing that they were criticized for was, you've got these really old people, and you know it just doesn't make sense because they're all getting old now. But they completely address that in all of the films,
in every film,
from the motion picture onwards. It's a common theme about the fact that they're getting, and I think that's what I really like about it. They acknowledge the fact they're getting old. They acknowledge the fact that they're kind of a bit too old for this, and there's even jokes about them wearing glasses and walking upstairs and things like that. So I think it's completely unfair to knock the Star Trek films because they're too old and crusty now, because that's part of the film. But after A Search for Spock, I've got Voyage Home. It had to be in there somewhere in the top half. In fact, I think it's bang on in the middle because I've only done 10 films. I've not done the Kelvin first ones. Then I've got Insurrection. Yes, Steve. I've done that. We said Star Trek films. Why would we include them? I'm joking. If anybody is watching this on YouTube, for example, and gives me a load of hate, I'm only joking. Insurrection I've got next. Insurrection's those films where I think as a film it doesn't necessarily work, but I watch it, it feels like I'm watching a two-parter episode with really good production value, and I love it for that because it feels like I'm just watching the TNG that I know and love, but with really, really, really cool uniforms. So I do like Insurrection for that. Also, this isn't really a no-my, but when I got married, my wife said I can pick all the music for the ceremony, all the music, because I'm really into like film scores and things like that, and it meant a lot to me. And she did joke, but please don't have me walk down the aisle to Star Trek. But she did. She walked down the aisle to some, but nobody knew it was a Star Trek song. In Star Trek Insurrection, there's a piece of music called Baku Village. Okay, and I actually the other day after we did our theme tunes, we talked about our favorite, the opening sequences. I'm not sure if it was D or M. I think it was both of you said you listened to the music. Oh, Emma said she listened to it in the car. I remember saying that. And I actually listened to the Insurrection soundtrack. I actually cried in the car listening to that piece of music. It was honestly, it was really bizarre. But so I've got Insurrection in my list because it means a lot to me, for that reason. That piece of music is in it, even though I can't listen to it. Because it just makes me too emotional. Next, I've got The Undiscovered Country. Superb film. like Dee said, you've got the purple blood floating around. Or was it Marie said that? It was Marie said that, weren't it? Marie said that. You got that. Because I remember at the time that was a big thing, this, because, the CGI around it and everything, because it looked really good. It feels to me as well that The Undiscovered Country is the film where they hand over from TOS to TNG. I know no TNG people are in it, but you just got this change of attitude. You've got the peace treaty with the Klingons, and it really does feel like you've got these old-fashioned values within the Star Trek universe being abandoned and being replaced by these new values.
They challenge them, don't they? And even Kirk has to challenge his own opinions about that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then they've got the final scene, which really does end for TOS.
Exactly. So it's done in a really Star Trek way. To start with, to be honest, Kirk comes across with some views. In fact, a lot of the crew, from what I remember, come across with views that just don't feel very Star Trek. And you're watching it and you're cringing a bit because they're basically being racist and looking down on these people for having bad table manners and things like that.
Yeah.
But that kind of gets replaced by the end, like you say. So yeah. So that was Final Frontier, which leads finally Nemesis. I think Nemesis, again, I do enjoy Nemesis. I don't think it's a bad film.
Wait a minute, so you just did the Undiscovered
Country,
Country, though.
I've just skipped a few, Anna. Yeah. Next, I've got First Contact after that. I know it's at the top of everybody else's list, and I do love it, but it's just not got as many scenes in it that I really love. I having said that, though, the Borg Queen scene is absolutely amazing. Alice Kriege is absolutely amazing as Borg Queen. It's a really quite erotic performance as well. It's a really quite sexually charged and but in a really bizarre way, because I don't quite know how to describe it, but it is. She's just brilliant, Alice. I can't imagine anybody else in that role. I know other people have played the Borg Queen and they've done it well, but in that particular film, in that particular scene, I just think she owns it. So that was First Contact. Then I got Final Frontier, which is just absolutely mental. It's just a really strange film. But again, it has got some really great moments. Is that the Row, Row, Row Your Boat one, or is that a different one? It is Row, Row, Row Your Boat, yeah. Jed's nodding. I'm taking that as a yeah. So I think that's a really good scene. Again, it addresses the age, and you get them like climbing up, the mountain and all that. El Capitan, yes. I just, again, it's just a film I really like. Is that the one where Scotty bangs his head? I know the ship like the back of my hand.
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and
it's a great
scene. It's awful.
Yeah, I love that scene. And then finally, I've got Star Trek Nemesis, which I kind of did a bit of a spoiler, for that. But yeah, that's me least favorite one. I do still enjoy it. I actually think What's His Face is really good as a young Picard. It's also got the funniest line in any Star Trek film ever, which is where Beverly crushes on about how they clone Picard. And she says, "Oh, it's so simple. All they need is a DNA sample." A hair from his head, for example, something like she says something like that, and every time she says it
a hair follicle, I think.
Yeah. Hair follicle, yeah. They must have got it from his, ball sack or something. But yeah, there we go. That's my top 10. And I'm looking forward to hearing everybody else's next week, actually. And I think it's good we're spreading this over 2 episodes. Maybe it's something we should consider doing in future, actually, because it's maybe a good way, spreading it out. It takes pressure off people as well. It's really bizarre because normally we go through everybody's and then we can kind of reflect on it, but this feels like a 2-part like Star Trek episode.
It's our first ever 2-parter. We're going to get a cliffhanger ending.
Dee, were you at the last convention?
No,
I didn't think so.
Birmingham.
You were the one. Yeah. Because I don't think I've ever met you in real life.
No. I've been to 2014, 2018.
Yeah.
I
think that was my last one.
As far as this group goes, barring meeting Marie when I went to DT, and I met Marie there, who then briefly introduced me to Brush. So thanks, Marie. Cheers, mate.
It's all her fault. You can't blame me here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I said, look, I've never met everybody else. I said, but we all sit there and we have a really good laugh. I said, and I'm really looking forward to next year when we get there, and I actually
it will be different because we all know each other. It will be different.
Yeah, it'll be weird to see sort of other people from sort of the collarbone downwards. You know, they're not just floating heads cut off by a blue line when they talk.
Oh no, you'll see how small I really am.
How small are you, Dee?
Just over 5 foot.
What are you doing? Growing in installments?
How tall are you, Steve?
5'10". 5'10". In the pants, Brush. No.
No, I would have noticed that.
No, of course you wouldn't. I'm 5'10".
5'10". Okay.
Yeah.
I've still.
What are you,
I've
Dan?
actually. Brush might laugh at this because I always state my height as 6'2", but I'm actually 6'1" and a bit. But I round it up slightly. But
Don't
on
think you
my,
are 6'1" and a bit, Eve.
I am because I'm 6'1". I am
I'm
in my.
6'1". I'm
No, you're not.
6'1".
You're on 6'1", right? On my door, on my living room door, I got a permanent mark and I marked Brush's height and my height on there. And if I see it every time I walk into the living room, I see mine and Brush's heights. Because I sometimes think that my missus must think that me and Brush, I don't know, are having some sort of like a gay relationship. That's my boyfriend or something. Because I've even got like, this is mine and Brush's height on the door.
Hang on a minute. You mean you two?
Another thing to say is I've been and visited him twice and stayed overnight more than one night, and I've never met his wife, so I don't think he's married at all.
I thought when he said wife, he was referring to you.
Oh.
I'm super married. I wear 2 wedding rings.
I'm super
What's that?
married.
One for your wife, one
What
for
the fuck
Brush.
does that mean?
It's one for Brush, yeah. It's one for Brush and one for my actual wife. No, somebody did ask me once, is that because I've been married twice? Is that because you've been married twice? I'm like, no, I said it's because. Right, I really wanted a tungsten carbide ring, but you can't resize them. But one was slightly too big, so I ordered another one that's slightly smaller, and so I just wear them both like that. But I'm always playing with my ring like that. I'm fingering my ring right now.
I'm not a fan of anal, I'll have you know, Steve.
I think you'll find his name's pronounced Alan.
Anal.
Anal.
So I've got 2 Trek birthdays on today.
Go on then.
Go on.
Gwyneth Walsh, who we all know because she was in the last convention, plays Bator, is 67 today. And one you might not know by name, Tara Rosling. She plays President Tarina in your favourite series, Steve, Discovery. Have you told Jed, Dee?
No, we watched it. He found it on my face.
I think we should hear Jed's side of the story because it might be completely different.
Yes, please.
I went to get him to see if I could take a picture of him, and I froze. And then 15 minutes later, and he's just walking me around, still holding me up. The next one was it Robert Picardo?
What, when you went to the toilet?
I went to the toilet. I'm at the cubicle, and I turned to the side, and he stood there, and he looked at me, and he went, all right. And I'm just staring at him then. Just going.
Both while we're peeing in the urinals. Just, how do you do?
And then I walked out of the box and nearly cock blasted
Aaron.
Please, Jed, tell me you were pissing in 2 separate urinals. It wasn't one of these weird toilet love moments.
My favourite one was when we was in London and he'd been gone outside for the cig for ages. He stood there chatting to this fella at the cig bin for ages. Me and my mum are walking from the venue up, watching this all go on. And I'm like, who's he talking to? Who's that there? And then the guy walked away, started walking towards us. And I went, oh my God, do you think he's realised? So, because he walked past, and as he walked past me, I turned around, the door was still open. I said to Jed, do you realise you've been talking to Mark Alemo for 15 minutes? And he went, and the guy, so I looked back to go, him. And he turned his wing and carried on walking. And he went, Mark Alemo. And he went, who's that? I went, Golda Cat for you. Oh, was it?
Oh, Jed.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's a good job we didn't know, otherwise it'd have froze.
Yeah, have you met many people? Have you met many people? It's Mark Alemo, you dickhead. What are you asking him that for?
You met many people.
Yeah.
What have you got? And he just started laughing at me, and I didn't realise.
Oh, good. Are you allowed outside on your own or what?
That 5 minutes to have a Viagra. You know,
Oh, you know what? He's like, for a cig, he's gone for ages.
But I was wondering why everyone was staring at us. I didn't click until after he'd gone.
How many autographs have you got? That's brilliant. That's better than the John Delancey story, that one. I really love that. So did you ask him then, how many autographs have you got? Oh, are you having any photographs taken? How long, where have you travelled from?
I was actually asking him who he paid for to go.
I love the fact that he just plays along and he doesn't say, "Do you know who I am?"